We've blocked 500,000 people around the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
Probably
God.
more now.
Penny Appeal.
Oh God.
So Penny Appeal is a charity.
Sorry, can you put that in inverted commas? It's a charity.
So I think it's fair to say I have beef with.
If you say you're a Muslim, you identify as a Muslim, and you want to marry a Muslim, right? However religious you are, I want you to feel comfortable on Muzz. It's unfortunately a corporate game plan, and you know, I'm amazed that they're multi-billion-dollar company and we're literally a tiny startup, and they've wasted so much time of theirs and ours and money. You know, which is small change for them, but it's meaningful for us in trying to litigate. You know, it's sad, but there you go.
Assalamu alaikum. With me I have none other than Shahzad, aka Shaz, Younas, the CEO of Muzz,
Yes.
previously known as MuzMatch.
You can say that, I can't.
Well, I said it. And Shaz, you've grown this thing over the last few years to 10 million members. I mean, that is a big number. I can barely even think about it. 500,000 marriages, God knows how many kids.
Allah knows. Yeah, it's a big number.
I know, and 100 plus people in the team. Like this, it's absolutely banging this office.
It's grown a lot. The more we've grown, the grey on my beard has gotten. So yeah, that's the price you pay for all of this. And alhamdulillah, you know what? It sounds cheesy, but from very humble beginnings, we've grown to something quite big now. I still remember literally starting all of this from the bedroom of my house, figuring out, all right, how do you build apps, and actually building the first version, getting that out on iOS or for Apple, for Android as well. Doing all the horrible things you have to do to grow a business from zero, and we grew from zero. We had no fake profiles. We didn't do all that stuff. I was like, let's do this legit from the start. So it was literally signing up one person at a time. I'd go out to mosques, hand cards out, tell people all about it. I'd go anywhere where there were a load of Muslims and try and spread the word. And then alhamdulillah, bit by bit, very slowly, people started using the app. And you know, alhamdulillah, now it's, you know, we've carried on growing, you know, and that was, it sounds weird. You said a few years, it's been 9 years full time I've been on this. So it's quite a long time. A big chunk of my life has gone on this.
And Shaz, I want to talk a lot about your expansion because I want to learn about it. But I want to start with me doing my fake impression of Jeremy Paxman. So I had a taxi driver that we drove over, and the taxi driver, I said, "Oh, what do you think about Muzz?" And the taxi driver said, "Oh, you know what? I don't know what the scholars would think about it. It's a bit like Tinder, you know." And I would refer people to, I don't know, somewhere like Pure Matrimony or something. What do you have to say?
I've heard it before. I think there's a few. I always find the Tinder comparison very lazy of people. Well, look, what's the heart of the app, of the platform? It's to bring two people together. That's literally the heart of it. Our goal is bringing them together in a halal manner for halal means, right? So we're very upfront, unashamedly, we want to get you married, right? And it couldn't be more obvious throughout the app that you're here to try and get married. You know, we even have multiple places in the app where it says keep things halal. We ask you outright when you're looking to get married. It's a direct question on there, and that's shown on your profile, so people get a good idea. Where I won't say necessarily where things fall apart. You know, alhamdulillah, you mentioned, look, 500,000 people, alhamdulillah, have actually found their partner on the app and got married around the world, right?
Including one of our team members.
There you go. Trust me, yeah, exactly. One of you, I know exactly who. Loads of people, you know, have family members, people in the team, etc. Right? It works, whether you like it or not. It works. Now, is it perfect? No. I always say sometimes when people give me that feedback, and people stop me in the street, men, women, you know, with feedback, and I'll take it all day long. And nearly all the time when I get to it, I'm like, all right, is it the app or is it the people? And 9 times out of 10, it's not the app. It's a person, a scenario, a situation. I've had people, men and women, who tell me, oh my God, amazing. I met really amazing people, really high quality people who are serious, blah, blah, blah. I equally have people who said, I only met losers on the app and I didn't meet anyone serious. So there's such a difference in experiences. Our goal is obviously that more and more people find serious people, find the one, etc. There will always, no matter what the platform is, whether it's Pure Matrimony or anything, even if you did the whole mosque route as well, there'll always be people whose intentions aren't so pure, aren't so good, and who are looking for something else and hiding it. That happens in every society. And one thing I've realized by doing this in this business is any business which brings people together and has the messiness of human relationships is messy, whether you like it or not, because people, humans, interactions, it's very imperfect. And that's what you're dealing with. I was very naive to it when I started, and my eyes have kind of been open to that, of just the sheer number of scenarios that can happen when men and women get together for the sake of something like this. So I don't pretend we're perfect, but I actually think within the platform we've built so many things to try and make sure that casual people looking for hookups, people who are there to mess about, we get rid of them. To give an example, we've built out a 28 strong all-female support team who all day long are policing and monitoring the site, and they get rid of. We've blocked 500,000 people around the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Probably more now, because we're ruthless in blocking accounts. If you go on our app stores, Google and Apple,
Andrew
read the
Tate
reviews.
would take you that list.
Oh
Andrew
yeah, for
Tate.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah. But like, if you go on our app stores, you'll see so many negative reviews we get from people who've been blocked on the platform. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if you're paying us, if you've been with us for ages. If you're inappropriate, we've got clear evidence. Get rid of you. Because that's not what we're about. We live and die by reputation. So. Like I said, our mission is transforming how Muslims meet and marry, and I actually think of any platform out there, we've had the biggest impact. Full stop.
Yeah. And you know what, Shaz? Someone asked me this as well. I was interested to hear your response, and my response to him was that there are many Muslims out there. There are very practicing Muslims, people with niqabs, and there are people who are barely Muslims. Right? Let's be honest. And everyone needs to get married.
Yep.
And so what are you saying? Like, if you're not going to go to Pure Matrimony, go to Tinder or go to wherever.
No, that's key. One of my principles when I started this business was like Pure Matrimony, and not to pick on one, but let's say a very religious platform.
Or like a mosque. Like,
right. So you have products for everyone, right? You have products for the very, very religious crowd. I don't want to say hardcore, the very religious crowd. Great, good for them. There'll be people who are like, ooh, that's not, like, I've got friends who I would say are more practicing than me and quite practicing, and they found some of those platforms a bit too intense, right? Where like it was a bit much for me. So there's that. My premise when I started Muzz was I wanted to appeal to anyone. If you say you're a Muslim, you identify as a Muslim, and you want to marry a Muslim, right? However religious you are, I want you to feel comfortable on Muzz, right? So whether you wear the niqab or you don't, you wear a skirt maybe, or I don't know, you're a guy who drinks, I want you to feel fairly comfortable on our platform, right? I want you to feel that actually I can find a partner who aligns with my values, whether I'm that religious or not, on Muzz. I think for me, a real disservice would be to push any Muslim away, however, call it weak their minds, to push them away from marrying another Muslim. I think that's way worse. So you deal with what's in front of you, you make it, and I think that's what we've nailed that really well. If you look on Muzz, you'll see niqabis and you'll see people who say, I drink. And I'm like, I don't knock people for it. I'd much rather we didn't put such people off, because I think that's it's a way worse position. You know, our faith is about inviting and bringing people together. Hopefully, inshallah, for the sake of good. That's what it's about. You know, not judging and not being harsh on people.
Because family, like, you're trying to create a family, and that's the bedrock of society, right?
Literally.
And what else are you going to do if you don't do that? And
don't get me wrong, there will be people who will say, perhaps I drink, I'm not that practicing, and I would probably want someone who's within reason, just as on the same practicing level as me, right? As not as practicing. So be it. That's fine. Good for them, right? Yeah. I hope they can find someone on our platform in a halal manner versus going on another, let's say, non-Muslim platform, where you would argue and probably be inclined to say there's way higher proportion of fitna that will go on there. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, like I said, for me, I'm always optimistic, and B, I always want us to be a place that welcomes well and pushes people away. That's just a principle of mine, and I think Muzz actually follows that pretty well.
Moving on to from one not so light subject to litigation.
Love a bit of litigation. Can't get enough of it.
Honestly, you are such a fighter.
You have to be. I just think, you know what? Whenever you do any startup. And it's true, the bigger you get, the more grief you get from whoever. Yeah. And equally, I think it helps if you have faith in you. There's certain principles where you're like, this is worth fighting for, and this isn't worth fighting. Not all battles are worth fighting for, and you know, I do think you have to be smart about it. But yeah, unfortunately, litigation happens.
So let me kind of give you what I have like roughly got from the story. So there's Match Group, I think there's this big behemoth, right?
Yeah. So they own Tinder, Hinge, 50 other dating apps. They're literally the global leader.
The monopoly kind of player, and they made, I think, a few approaches to buy you guys out, and you said no to them at various points. So like any good jilted lover, they then decided to, I think, effectively sue you, right, for some kind of infringement around the brand. And I think it was around the word match in particular that was an issue. and I'm sure you're now a legal expert on all things to do with.
I'm sick of IP and trademark law, but yeah, effectively that. And then, but like I said, they didn't necessarily stop there. They then filed. So that was here in the UK and Europe. Then they filed another lawsuit in the States around aspects of the app and the way the app works. We had the whole legal battle with that. We actually took it to the Court of Appeal as well. Unfortunately, we lost, which till the day I'm dead, I'll never understand, but there you go. Which was effectively that in the judge's eyes, the word match, which is an English word, when people said match, they did mean effectively match.com in his eyes, and not the English use of the word match, which is to matchmake, to bring people together, which is effectively what the heart of our old brand name was. So there's that side of things. The other lawsuits, I think, around, call it the way our app looked and functioned, etc. And there was a more recent one in the States that they then brought, which was around the mechanics of how you match, literally the mechanics of how two people match on a platform when they like each other, etc. Which they had a very, I would say, a loose patent for. We actually managed to get that case dismissed because we actually explained how we're not infringing it. And this is a bit of a spurious lawsuit. I think the aim, in my perspective, is clearly to just drain us, to distract us, to waste a load of money, and just spend our time fighting all this stuff rather than actually trying to compete fairly. All of this has cost us in excess of £2 million, wow. Which, we're a startup. In total, as a business, in 9 years, we've raised a total of 9 million. So it's a big chunk of the money that we've raised, just fighting and trying to stay alive with all of this. It's stressful, no doubt. It killed a good at least 2 years of the business in terms of just trying to focus on the business whilst also dealing with all this. I actually think, alhamdulillah, the team and we as a business, I actually think came out stronger for it. I actually think our product is a lot better as a result. Not necessarily as a result, we just carried on, we just focused. There was a few principles I had in mind when all this was going on. Number one, what's their aim? Is to kill us, to slow us down, and to distract us. And so I was like, right, as much as possible, I want to protect the company, the team from all of that. I'll deal with all this. And of course it is distracting, but I want to make sure that at the same time, for whatever it is, we make sure we make the most of this. I wouldn't say it's an opportunity, but a situation. So, you'll see, and hence why you heard about it. My principle was, I'm going to be as transparent as possible with the whole court case. Inform people what's going on, all the mechanics of it, how much does it cost, all that kind of stuff. And just share what these capitalistic practices are. And I was amazed at how much that resonated with a lot of people when they could actually see some of the games that were being played. Remember, Match Group equally, allegedly, tried to buy Bumble, which is the other very large dating app out there. They said no, and then Match Group didn't allegedly, that was filed. They sued Bumble for various things, very similar lawsuit that they did to us. So it's unfortunately a corporate game plan. I'm amazed that they're multi-billion-dollar company and we're literally a tiny startup, and they've wasted so much time of theirs and ours and money, which is small change for them, but it's meaningful for us in trying to litigate. It's sad, but there you go. And
do you, in retrospect, regret anything?
No. With hindsight, you might say, you know what, you didn't win. Was it worth it? Blah blah blah. Possibly, but I actually think there's a few things. A, I love the new brand Muzz. B, we, in a good way, and I don't think it was necessarily because of the lawsuit, but we were working on revamping our product, and I was actually really glad, and props to the team. The day we found out we lost the lawsuit was pretty much the day we launched Muzz 4.0, which was our latest incarnation of the app, which was, I think, the best looking and functional app that we've ever had. Like, finally, in whatever it is, by then it was 8 years, it was an app that I was proud of, where I'm like, nailed it, guys, we've nailed it. Because up till then, you build a product, you're not happy with this, you're not happy with that, because limitations of your team, of where you're at, of the time you've got. Whereas here, we were at a point where I looked at the app going, finally, I'm actually super happy. So I think there was that. Like I said, the name, it made us just hungrier. It keeps you on your toes, no doubt. The whole thing was an education, for sure, around, call it the legal game around IP, around even having discussions around being acquired, etc., what companies look for. So that whole thing, I always say everything's a learning. Maybe certain things we could have done differently, possibly, some mechanics of it, but it's really hard to say. I'm someone who always just deal with what's in front of you, you learn what you can, then you move on. And so I don't spend too much time dwelling, because what's the point?
No, definitely. I want to do the last two questions that come from Khizr.
Yes.
And then I'll move into the stuff that
Yeah,
we're
so-
interested in,
okay.
the business side.
Yeah.
But
Okay, cool.
for the likes of, the audience who like the masala, I've actually, this is a question that's intrigued me and many, I think, LinkedIn people.
Yeah.
What's the thing with you and Asim Qureshi?
Oh, Asim, he's my brother. No, contrary to popular belief, I do actually know the guy. He's not a super close friend, but like he was basically, I think he was at Morgan Stanley just before, or he left just before I started. So we got a bunch of kind of common friends and stuff. Yeah, he's got a certain type of personality, let's say that, and I have a different type of personality. So I sometimes love winding people up. Like I said, if he was a stranger, I probably wouldn't do it, but because I half know him, I like to keep him on his toes. Unfortunately, he's blocked me, so we need to start. We need to start like crowdfunding campaign, something to get him to unblock me. Because I miss his posts, honestly.
Honestly, I would like read his post and I read your comment.
People would literally read my comment first, you know.
There's no comment there. So
I know, it's sad. I think, shout out to Asim Qureshi, unblock me on LinkedIn. There you go. Let's get it going.
And then Khizr is going to be so happy. Like, this is so unlike any of my other podcasts.
Yeah, it's not dry, basically.
But
You can say it. I can't.
I mean, I'm listening, but I'm skipping forward. I'm like, come on, man. Like
2x speed.
Yeah.
Penny Appeal.
Oh God.
So so Penny Appeal is a charity.
Sorry, can you put that in inverted commas? It's a charity.
So Penny Appeal is an organisation that you I think it's fair to say have beef with.
I don't have beef. I won't say I have beef with. It's just when certain things are in plain sight, I think it's an onus on people to bring it up, and no one was willing to bring it up, and so I thought, all right, I'm gonna have to, because I can't sleep knowing there's something so flagrant going on that people aren't talking about.
I like, you are such honestly, you are an extraordinary figure, because like at the same time you're fighting Match.
I don't know. Trust me, I did think, I don't need this. Why do I give myself the stress? It's true. I've got 3 keyboards basically, and I just true keyboard warrior. I don't know why I do these things, and I'm trying to run this business.
And you've got a business, a massive business.
I don't know. You know, Hamza, I'm someone I'm very lucky. I have a lot of energy. And I get a lot done during my day. I probably should focus more. One of my lessons we'll talk to the businesses is always focus. But anyway, no. Some of this stuff's important. With Penny Appeal, like I say, it's I've always had a real interest in the Muslim charity scene. Let's say, you know, I've donated myself. You know, ever since I started working, basically, when I moved to London in 2005. That whole scene was new to me, right? And then I was like, my God, this thing's an industry, right? The Muslim charity scene, right?
It's massive, isn't it?
It's big,
probably the
right?
biggest thing.
It's big, and British Muslims, we donate so much, right? So like, we're a good example to the Muslim world of charitable giving, amazing. Now, the problem with all of that is we've got probably I reckon we've got the most charities per Muslim population, right, in the UK. So probably we're an outlier there. But then obviously it brings good and bad characters, right? Because it's easy money. When it comes to Penny Appeal, and by the way, of my assessment, I deem them as one of the least satisfactory. I'm choosing my words so damn carefully here. Least satisfactory. I'm sure there's other charities which also have some questionable practices. For Penny Appeal, like I said, it actually kind of stemmed because quite a few, and I don't know why. Obviously, I've been interested in the space and I've talked about these things previously. And then I had quite a few ex-Penny Appeal employees reach out to me just telling me about effectively bad things going on that they observed when they were there. And I was always like, well, look, you were there, speak up, right? Like, you know, why can't you speak up? And none of them were willing to speak up. Their words, intimidation, harassment, all that from the guys at Penny Appeal. I thought, what the hell is this? Like, what's going on here? And I'm like, I don't get me wrong, I don't like just, I only say beef, but I don't care for beef. It's not about, for me, it's not about personalities. I care about just, this is an institution, what it represents. And you know, and I know, unfortunately, a lot of Muslim charities don't have a great rep, right? So we either just accept it and go, Muslim charities don't have a great rep and it is what it is, or we as Muslims start asking questions about charities to demand standards and quality to be a lot higher, right? Because if we don't, if we're just blindly just donating, we're feeding this machine, if you will, right? So for me, it was like, all right, well, what are you going to do about it, right? And you know, this is a charity who, like I said, on a personal level, I would never donate there. Why? And there's a few other charities, not just them, but they're, like I said, of my assessment, one of the worst. Why? Because I think like I said, what did I do? I spent hours just going through the accounts myself, right? A very study's been done on the internet. I went through myself and looked for it just to verify some of the numbers I was reading. I guess what's good is, from my perspective, I could verify those numbers. And like I said, it's literally in plain sight. Here's money from the charity that goes to companies connected to the founders or trustees. It couldn't be more blatant. And if you add up those numbers, we're talking millions of pounds. Now, for me, huge question mark, right? If you have ex-employees telling you about...
Not illegal, but question mark.
Big question mark, right? And you have to say, you as a donor, are you happy with that? Are you comfortable with that? Is this in line with all the ethical practice from the Charity Commission? No, and clearly I just saw they received, I think, an additional or at least a warning from the Charity Commission, a written warning. You can read it on the Charity Commission website, demanding them to take action around things around conflicts of interest, transparency, etc. All the areas that I touched on in my post, where I went through the accounts. What I saw was millions of pounds going to companies connected with the founder and trustee. All these untoward practices. On top of all that, plenty of examples of, and then what was great is people were coming out saying, oh yeah, I donated to this well campaign and never heard about it. I donated to this orphan campaign, never heard about it, had no feedback. There was a horrendous thing around the Gambian orphanage, around sexual abuse going on there. Such poor transparency. I remember when it happened, it was ages before we heard about it, only because people on the internet were asking, what the hell, Penny Bill, what's going on here? Demanding, imagine that was your business and something like that happened. I'd be like, I immediately a public statement of, guys, let's say if we were looking into it, this is horrendous, we're going to look into it immediately and we're going to keep you guys posted. No, none of that. Their tactic is, and from what I've observed is, don't say anything, just keep your head down, hope it dies down and no one talks about it. And the problem is, and like I said, for Muslim donors, we donate, we don't ask the questions. And that's what I'm trying to change. Ask the questions of the charities we're donating to, because it's serious money we're talking about. Yeah. If we're people who complain about the quality of Muslim charities, if we're people who are demanding, even if we're demanding, and I don't think necessarily it's right, but 0% admin fees and all this stuff, all right, then make sure then of the stuff that is spent is going towards building what you want, right? So, we as Muzz, every year we commit to a charity campaign, every Ramadan. We raise, the last, we actually just did an emergency appeal with Medical Aid for Palestinians, right, for the Palestine conflict, right? Now, a big thing for us is transparency. When we partner with a charity, it's the first conversation I have. All right, how do I get transparency, updates, where's the blah, 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 all of that up front. And I get them to make sure that we're getting regular updates and speak to them about what's going on the ground and how they're going to deliver the projects. We have a project that we did in Sudan that isn't going so great because of the situation there. We got an update from the charity, the current status. I think we've recorded a video, you'll see it go out, I think next week, giving an update, saying basically, we're stuck, guys. We're stuck on this campaign. This is how we're going to try and move forward on it, right? Transparency. Things aren't perfect and it's tricky, but like I said, and this is the key for me, a Muslim charity, every penny of theirs, to use a word, but every bit of money from them, it's not their money, it's your money. You're a donor. They owe you every answer. And that's the key. That's what we need to change. It's not a private business. It's not me and my mates running a charity. It's not that. It's everything that exists about that Muslim charity, like I said, is because of every donation they received, which is a trust. Yeah. And that for me, if it's blatant and you can see it, like I said, you speak up. You have to speak up. And for me, imagine I looked at the accounts and saw what was going on there, and I just said, you know what, not my business, allow it. For me, I'm that kind of person where I'm like, no, I can't sleep at night, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So that's all really interesting. I have to say, obviously Penny people are not here to defend themselves.
Bring them then.
I'm not sure.
I would love that conversation.
I'm not sure they would agree to that.
I wonder why.
And as far as I can tell, nothing illegal has happened. I think for people to make their own mind up. I think you're saying 5 Pillars have recently done some kind of.
I think they
analysis,
just published around the Charity Commission warning that they got.
Right,
or
I see.
The statement that Charity Commission got.
And presumably you can go on the Charity Commission website and find out some information there as well.
But like I said, even a few aspects of that. Remember when my post was getting attention on the internet because I was directing people. Literally, my post is go and look at the accounts. Yeah. That's literally effectively what my post is saying. Here's extracts from the accounts and what I've added up. Please do. I remember ending it with do your own homework. I'm not saying I'm the forensic accountant. I've just spent some time, do your own homework. And this for me, and this screams of when you know something isn't quite right. When they started,
and you're an investment banker by background as well.
Yeah, I'm an investment banker by background. What really upset me on a personal level, but then didn't surprise me, when they started issuing written legal threats, cease and desist, to people who were tweeting about it. They didn't do it to me. Wonder why. They did it to everybody else, saying delete your tweet where you talked about penny appeal in this fashion, etc. Right? Now, if you're a charity, imagine that was your business. If you're a charity and you genuinely have nothing to hide, I'd be like, great guys, this is what's been said about us. All right, these are these explanations. We hope this puts it to bed. Like I said, it's not their money. It's your money as a donor. So when you see stuff like that, it tells me everything I need to know. When people act like that, trying to shut down conversation, not only that, and this really upset me, they put a public statement out on their website, name checking me, and then saying all this stuff about me, saying, oh, I've accused members of their staff of like sexual abuse and all this stuff. I'm like, what the hell? Where's all this come from? Never done anything like that. And you know, and I just to add to it, and let's go on about this, but this you can see, it really upsets me, right? I had a third party who works at another charity saying, when this was kicking off, saying, you know what, they just want to talk to you. I could see the game plan. It was, oh, we're going to calm this down. Yeah. I'm like, look. So initially I said, fine. The CEO wants to talk to you. I said, fine. All right, I'll sit down with them. Why not? You can have someone on your side. They have someone on their side. I said, fine, no problem. Then I thought about it and I thought, what's the point? I said, look. So then I went back to him and said, look, I had a clear set of questions that they needed to answer. I said, answer those in a written fashion, and then I said, I'll meet them and we can discuss the answers. Otherwise, what's the point of just meeting and having a chat? It serves nothing. That's how I went. So, and then it was like, yeah, all right, yeah, send those questions over, we'll get them answered. All those emails all got ignored. Probably 6 emails going, all right, just pure ignored, no response, nothing. Like I said, it tells you everything you need to know.
So Shaz, moving on to more calmer waters.
What? Boring. Go on. Okay.
Well, maybe not. I mean, I guess why don't we talk a little bit about the business? Because I'm interested in how you actually deal with this juggernaut and you grow it. And then I'd love to talk a little bit about Gaza as well, because I've seen you very active and admirably so as well on that. But on the business, then, you're a sole founder, and this is a huge company, and I run a much smaller business, and I'm like, thank God I've got Mr. Patel with me on the journey. Yeah. How do you cope?
He's wandered off to Dubai, didn't he?
I know he has. Yeah. But it's good because he wakes up early.
Yeah.
So you have.
It's a setup that works. How? Oh man. You know what? It's a journey. I'll tell you that. It's a journey. You get, even like as the team have grown. Look at this. We're 9 years in, and we only this year did we call it our first product manager in some form. 9 years in. We had a whole setup where we didn't have that at all. We weren't functionally organized like that. And then now yeah, I know. 9 years.
Come again?
Yeah, exactly, right? No product managers for 9 years.
So what, engineers just
We just did it. Well, it was top down to some degree for sure. But I was very into the product. Like there was a few of us who knew exactly what we needed to do, and we cracked on and did it. By the way, I'm not saying that's the most optimal setup, right? But that was the journey. And it was this year, start of this year, where we're like, right, consciously we want to go from startup to scale up, right? How do we organize ourselves to suit those kind of means, right? So for us, it was having very clear metrics of different things that we care about as a business. All right, how do you make sure we focus on those things? And then to do that, so now we're in a squad form, and to do that means you have to grow the team, because you need to make sure that everyone is unblocked, right? That they can do their thing. If you're giving them a goal, give them all resources to hit that goal. Otherwise, there'll always be an excuse of why I didn't hit it, right? So then we organize ourselves in that way. And what does that mean? It means even for me as a CEO, my role, and it has changed over the years, I went from, the first 4 or 5 years, I was coding. Now I can't remember the last time I coded. It's good, right? I've always been a very product CEO, but probably I would say within reason, even over the course of this year, I've been somewhat less involved in the product. I'm still involved, top of what we're doing, how does it look and why. But generally, and even more recently, we're trying to figure out, all right, in a good way, how do we have a bit more distance between Shaz and the product? Because now, if I'm setting people, I need you to hit this target. I need to let them hit the target, right? I can't be just on their back every day. And sometimes I have bad days where I am, but then other days, hopefully I'm not. So that's the journey I'm going on. I think the key...
They must get so annoyed where they're like, we've got this nice little roadmap.
I'm annoying. I won't deny I'm very annoying on various things, and random things bug me. I'm sure I'm annoying, but then I'm very passionate, of course. I care a lot about what we do. There's a lot of experience over the years of things that we have done, haven't done, things that work, advice, experience, etc. So I'm always helpful to everyone. Like I've done nearly every role here. And so I try and help everyone as much as possible, be it customer support, be it marketing, be it whatever. So I'm involved in every aspect. My role has changed loads. No doubt, especially as we've grown to 100 people, most of my day is pure hiring. It's spending, interviews. People are always amazed that the first interview is with the CEO. They're like, what the hell, this doesn't happen at other companies. But whereas I'm like, I think it should, because we're still relatively small. We're 100 people, fine. We're relatively small. I want to make sure that every person, A, their place here is justified, and B, they're of the right quality. Because the moment you have a few average people, things go downhill real quick. I look at our team and I'm like, we have solid engineers, smart PMs. We're just strong across the board. Good attitude, good work ethic, and you'll see actually tons of non-Muslims here, right? Yeah. Which is amazing. I was interviewing someone before, and I was like, and I'm genuinely, and I say this in the nicest way possible, I'm so amazed at, especially for our non-Muslim team staff, how much they care about the product, which is a product that effectively they don't use. Or let's say can't use. You know what I mean? I'm like, honestly, I find that amazing for them to have that much care in it. And like I said, on various things, even to check me going, Shaz, is that the right thing to do? Which I'm like, alhamdulillah, that's amazing. Like reminds me of things. So I always see that as a good thing. I think.
So we've got a guy called Mozart. I hired him because his name's Mozart.
I mean, surely that's winning.
He's a software engineer. Can you imagine? Like, the back end is absolutely singing. And he's now one of the most foremost experts, in my view, on Islamic inheritance law.
Love it, see? So there you go, And that's what I mean, it's amazing, honestly, like seeing people like that. And so I do think I guess within reason, I always say, I don't think we've been, of course there's luck, alhamdulillah, thank God, we've grown on a really nice trajectory. So we've had stressful times, obviously, like legal stuff and all that, but as a business, we've run it kind of really well. We've always been financially disciplined. So, even now with the whole backdrop we're in right now, alhamdulillah, we're a business that, has money in the bank, can weather a rainy day. We're effectively profitable. We don't need to raise more money. So it's kind of things are a bit more on our terms, which is a nice place to be.
Definitely. And do you think that, were you facing pressure from your, I guess, investors or people, let's say a year and a half, 2 years ago, versus they're quite happy with you now? Yeah,
that was the thing. I still remember, oh my God, I remember the conversation around, Shaz, you guys should consider opening a SPAC. And I was like, don't be stupid, I'm not doing all that crazy stuff. I remember being under pressure to raise now. And you possibly could argue that was a good time to raise, right? Conditions were really good, like blah, 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 valuations, etc. Possibly that was a good thing to do. If we did a big chunky raise, we probably might not need to do another one, right? And then obviously flip side, quite a few of our investors, their portfolios have been absolutely hammered. And they're giving bridge loans to quite a few of their startups, quite a few of their startups are dying. Quite a few of them have said, Shaz, Muzz is like the standout performer in our portfolio. You guys are solid, good money in the bank, still growing, not had issues, well done, So thankfully, alhamdulillah, we've run it. And I'm old school. I'm like, run a business in a very disciplined way.
Like a business.
Literally, like a business. Focus on the unit economics. Focus on just make sure financially it makes sense, right? If you're burning tons of money, then you better be ready for the next batch of money that you're going to need. And my thing's always opposite. I hate being controlled. I want to be independent. I hate relying on someone else. And so for us, it was always making sure we raise what we have to, put the money to work, just grow solid so we're not having to raise more money.
And how does it work, Shaz? Because I've always wondered about this, because it's a completely different business model to what we've got, where you get people to give you money to manage, and then they'll usually never get it out again. Whereas in Muzz, you're in and out, right? If you're successful. And I think you guys monetize by, you can pay subscription. So how does it work? Is it like you're tracking the rate of, the churn and trying to make sure that it's kind of you're filling in the back?
I always say in this sector, it's one of people don't realize. I have so many people who want to start an app like this, and my advice is don't. Honestly, don't. There's so many, in inverted commas, better sectors to be in if you're going to do a startup. This is one of the worst, toughest, not worst, toughest sectors to operate in. Why? The churn question, the valuation question, the need to raise money, the cash flow question. I mean, if you run it well, you can run it as a solid business, but the churn aspect is brutal. Of course it is. Because you're right, people get married, they leave. That's two people who leave, right? Yeah. Not one, two.
Two good people as well.
Two good people, who leave, married. Right? And not only that, it's a very emotional journey. Finding a partner, things work out, things don't work out. People are constantly taking a break, coming back, etc. Right? So you've got all of that. Same with subscriptions, right? People are on a subscription, then they're not, then they are, then they're not. It's not like you said, your business and a SaaS type business. You get them in using your product, and then you've pretty much got them for life. It's a very different model, which makes it, like I said, it makes it a very, very tough space to operate. Very tough. So, like I said, if I was going to do any other business, would I? Probably, yeah, because it's hard. It's hard.
But now, Shaz, you're going to Pakistan, you're going to America. I think you've been doing a few trips out there. You've done, I think, Middle East possibly as well.
We're everywhere.
What are the different communities like? Are they different or are they similar?
I think you'd be amazed, right? I think across the world, Muslims are going on this journey of, especially young Muslims, are figuring out how to navigate, call it their old school culture tradition, and I wouldn't say the modern world, but the world of today, right? No doubt, I think there's an inherent need of young people who want to be empowered to find a partner in their own right. And that's the role we're trying to play. I do think that the taboo is different around being on an app and finding your own partner. For men, for women, it's different in all these countries, for sure. No doubt the key for us is getting a healthy male-female ratio in all the different countries. Listening to especially female needs, because in a lot of these countries, privacy, modesty, all that is way more elevated than it is, for example, for Muslim women here in the UK. So you have to be very cognizant of all of that in the design of the app, in the way we do various things. To give you an example, we have a security feature around selfie verification, where we want to make sure you're not a catfish, you're a real person, you're not a bot, etc. So we scan your face to make sure. Now, that alone scared a lot of women off because they didn't understand what this was for. They thought we were taking a photo. So then there's a load of time we've spent now just redesigning that screen and trying to educate people of what are we doing here. So there's so many, like I said, things to be very, very conscious of.
And is it like, I guess it's a marketplace dynamic at heart, right? So who comes on first? Is it more women or more men?
Generally more men, and then you need to make sure you have enough women. But that's not necessarily the rule. In Indonesia, we have a lot more women than men. In Morocco, we have with certain countries are really odd in terms of the female-male breakdown, which are outliers. But no doubt, I guess for us, the key is, within each market, creating a healthy community of active people who are looking in their country, right? Because that's how you grow from zero to something big. It's how we grew here in the UK and abroad.
Question from myself, been interesting for other founders. When do you know you need to go from startup to scale up, and lessons on international expansion?
When do you know? I think when you know is when you're clearly at product market fit. I think hopefully the unit economics and your financial situation is fairly solid. I think when you're at that stage, that feels like the right stage to force yourself to reinvent. So we literally completely turned the way we worked upside down, and we did it in, I think it was March of this year. So
and you had to do that?
I wouldn't necessarily had to, but it kind of just made sense, because I was like, all right, we want to grow, but then there are all these things we know we need to focus on, and we were working, basically we weren't doing much in parallel as such. Everything was very serial, which is good because you bash through stuff, but then it's like, I need to focus on this in revenue, but then also we're losing customers here on retention. And it's like, right, crap, we'll do this thing first and we'll do that. And then you realize actually, both of them just needs true attention, and that's it. So for us, it was making sure that, like I said, growing the team so they can focus on that goal. Hence why your finances need to be solid to support all of that. So we've probably hired the most people that we have in this last year than we have in our whole lifetime. We were very small for a long time.
How many have you hired in the last year?
I'd say in the last year, probably 30 plus people, maybe 40, something like that, yeah. And we're still hiring now. So we probably hired, the most in the last year than we have in our whole history. So we've been, like I said, I think we've relatively been late to hiring. We've been a very small team for a long time, which is great because it keeps you efficient. We could have sped various things up, but like I said, I look at the whole situation and I'm like, no, I think it felt like the right thing to do.
It worked out. And what would your lessons be? Now, let's say we want to go to, I don't know, the US.
Yeah.
How should we approach it?
Lessons for a global app is obviously one bit for us, languaging, so pure localization, that's important. Just trying to understand the dynamic on the ground. It's different. It's so different because, or it's so hard to explain, mainly because we're a very marketplace app, right? You need both sides. For you, it's not. Yours is you're providing value, and if only one person uses it, they get the same product as if 10 people used it, right? Yeah. It's not the same for an app like ours. So it's a bit different in how you go about it. For you, definitely, or let's say for a non-marketplace product, it sounds basic, but it's talk to people in the country, find out where the gaps are, how similar or not is it. Equally, and it might be, and I don't know the answer, it might be that your product actually, they kind of, let's say it's a UK only product. The way you've solved it might actually be the right way for a lot of these other countries that they don't even know about. And if you can somehow force that in, amazing. Usually though, you're having to work around local setups. So I do think being slightly sensitive to that, being a little bit flexible on it, of saying, all right, what changes do I need? What's like the smallest MVP changes to help growth in that country? Have an idea of how you're going to measure it, and then literally just have someone focusing on it. Because if you don't focus on, they always say if you can't measure it, you can't control it. And equally, because you'll know in a business, there's so many different metrics to look at. Unless you have someone obsessing over something and trying focusing on it, it won't get done. Just there's so much to do otherwise.
Taking a different road here, Shaz, Gaza, Israel, Palestine, the whole saga that's been going on. You've been quite, I think, vocal about this relative to other, I guess, business people. How do you, and this is a personal journey for me as well, right? Where we're trying to figure out, what we can and can't say, how far we should go. How have you approached it, and how do you think business people should approach this stuff?
First, I always say each their own. I don't give people grief for not speaking. Like everyone's on their own journey, on their own personal situation of their own comfort level around receiving grief, having that stress, speaking up, etc. The hadith around if you dislike something, dislike it in your heart. What is it? It's in your heart. If you, with your mouth, with your hands.
Yeah.
That's not the right order.
Those are three.
Yeah, but there's an order.
Try and stop it with your hand. If you can't do that, then speak out. If you can't do that,
if not, it's with your heart, and the lowest form of iman is with your heart, right? So, so I do think and everyone's somewhere on there, and that's all good. And the worst is obviously just apathy, right? I don't care, not my problem. That's when you got bigger issues. Let's say as a Muslim, right? So, but how have I thought about it? Part of me, I know whether I like it or not, and trust me, I'm someone contrary to popular belief, but I'm quite a private guy. I don't like being in the limelight. I really don't. I'm an extrovert person, but I could do with my privacy. I'm not a big fan of social media and being out there as much, just because I'm a very time poor person, no doubt. And it just hasn't massively interested me in that way. The flip side is that whether I like it or not, okay, I have an element of a platform. And for me, it's like, all right, well, if you have a voice and all this stuff's going on, I do feel there's some element of a duty of I have to speak up about certain things that I see which aren't quite right, and use my platform for whatever I can. So I remember when the whole Gaza situation started happening, we were like, my God, this is crazy. What can we do? And alhamdulillah, within a week, I actually think we took too long, to be honest. I don't think we quite appreciated the gravity of the situation until it really started kicking off. It was about a week and a bit, and then we were like, oh my God. And I remember I just sent a Slack message to the team going, I think we need to do an emergency appeal here, guys. And then we set ourselves a goal of raising 100 grand in 7 days. And alhamdulillah, and we put 50 grand straight in. We raised 100 grand in 2 days. And I was like, wow, alhamdulillah. And that's the power of a platform globally, right? We just put it out. People would donate. I remember we put it up, we hadn't even told anyone. And so people started donating. We're like, what the hell? We haven't even told anyone about the link yet. Yeah. It's crazy. And then, now we're just shy of £200,000, right, raised. It's about, $250,000, something like that. So alhamdulillah, it's amazing. And it's, again, power of a platform. So I'm like, all right, I want to make sure that, for me on a really simple level, when all this is said and done, when I leave this world, I want to have a few things where I'm like, all right, that was my contribution.
Did the right thing.
And inshallah, I hope Allah accepts it, and that's it, right? And I hope that's it. I hope using my platform somehow for something good, counts in my favor on a selfish level, right? On a pure selfish level of, I don't want to be the guy to be like, flipping, I could have said something, I should have said something, was I a bit weak? Did I? 'Cause everyone knows. Everything's a trade-off. I won't say something because it might hurt me in this other way. Yeah. And I tell you, and this is definitely the older you get. The older you get, you care less. It sounds weird. I couldn't really give a crap about a lot of people or things anymore. You realize, obviously, whatever as your faith goes, Allah has control over everything. Everything good that's going to happen, everything bad that's going to happen, everything's going to happen to you as a result of something you've done. It's all written. So all you can do is do your best, and why worry about everything else? And that's my take. So I was like, right, cool, I'm going to post about all this. I'm sure at some point in the future, I think my very first tweet was something like, let's see how long this lasts, or before I get cancelled or something, because I know the nature of it. And the way I look at it is, I'm sure something at some point in the future will bite me in the backside, and I'll pay for it. It is what it is. Like I said, I think for me, I try to be quite careful in sharing factual stuff, because the danger on the internet, and this has happened, where people share stuff which hasn't been checked, right? This is a big problem with the internet, right? Disinformation, people sharing stuff wherever without it being verified. So I do try and check myself of going, hold up, slow down, just do some homework on this. And if I'm not fully sure, I won't talk about it. But where I can, I try to. Like I said, each their own, everyone's in their own situation. I think it definitely needs, like one thing I've realized the older I've gotten is, where is power in this world? Whether you like it or not, it's where the money is. Where's the money? It's where business is. That's where it is, and that's where Muslims need to be. Muslims, we need powerful, strong business people, men and women, who are organized, who use their platform, right, for the right way. That's strength. Until we have that, we don't have much, because welcome to the modern world. Talk about politics, about all these other things. Look at the US politics. Who runs US politics? It's not politicians, it's business. And I can talk all day about how corrupt the US political system is. It's pay to play over there, right? In the UK, not quite as bad, but there's still elements of it which are becoming more and more apparent every day, right? So I do think for us as Muslims, that's why we say we need strong, successful, really successful Muslim business people, right? Because then the key is then they're not just doing it just to get rich themselves and move on. Hopefully they're like, all right, how do I help the next generation, which is what I try and do. But then secondly, how do I help use this for something good? Because it does open doors whether they like it or not. Of course it does, you know? And that's how I think about it here.
No, makes a lot of sense. I feel like in some ways we're lucky in that both of our businesses have Muslim audiences. So the person that actually pays for your business does not care. You know, is quite happy with what you're saying. So I think that's liberating. But then at the same time, you know, you've got investors. At the same time, you've got you know, your payment rails.
I mean, it's difficult, right? Like I posted on Twitter about an investor who was came via an existing investor, was very interested in us, was happy with putting a sizable investment into the company at a great valuation, liked the business a lot, was a very straightforward process, so they were the decision makers. It was like
the dream.
It was the dream, right? And I remember in the meeting, in the conversation, I kind of touched on the area, and he kind of answered it, and we kind of moved on in the conversation. And then, so we progressed, we signed an NDA, both sides, we were ready to share data. Something in me, I remember waking up and I was like, why is something bugging me about this? And literally, that's all it was. And I thought, I've got to ask again, because I just got to ask in black and white. And so then I wrote that email saying, like, just confirm, has your firm put any money into Israel or the IDF on a political capacity? And you'll see in this thread, they ignored my email twice, I think it was. And then I just said, look, what the hell? Like, we went from all of that to now just ignore my emails. And then you'll see the response where clearly it was an issue, whether they like it or not, and hence why we just ended it there. And that's not the first time that's happened with an investor in that situation. We had a previous one, similar story, very keen on the business. They were like very ready to go, and then I did a bit of homework and realized that effectively the founder of the investment firm was a big donor towards the whole right to return to Israel, all that kind of stuff. It was very politically leaning, and I thought, no, can't do this. I can't in good faith take money from here. And like I said, things like that, you know, I have full faith. Allah will provide a way. You know, and it's all good. It's all good. If we're meant to get that money, we'll get it. If we're not, we won't. And it is what it is. So I tell you, it's very liberating. Like, it's just as a motto, two things that always kind of get me by. The first is like, what's the worst that can happen? In so many scenarios, what you think is going to happen is never usually that bad, number one. And the second thing is also like, just you do your best, and then the rest is up to Allah. So why stress? Like, literally, why stress? It's very liberating knowing that. You do your best, you don't get everything right, and it's okay. And you know, things, I'm always surprised at the random avenues and the way things turn out, you know? And I'm always like, you know, alhamdulillah, remember that thing, and then this happened. It happens so often where I'm just like, wow, you know? So that's how I always think about all these things.
What's the future hold for Shaz and also Muzz?
More grey hairs, that's guaranteed. For me, no, look, I inshallah, like through Muzz, one of the big things, I don't have no idea when this is going out, but I'll talk about it a little bit now. So, like I said, our mission was transforming how Muslims meet and marry. I would say we've got the world's biggest Muslim marriage app now, right? We've probably had the biggest impact globally, and we've still got so much. Muslim population is 2 billion Muslims around the world, right? So we've got a lot to do, but we probably have the biggest impact on actually transforming how Muslims are meeting and marrying. The next part of our journey is I'm like, all right, well, how do we actually connect the Muslim Ummah together, right? We've all seen the pain of social media. We've all seen shadow banning. We've all seen the issues around posting around Palestine, etc., or anything remotely political. All the stuff that goes on, these weird algorithms and dark algorithms and all that stuff. I'm like, right, how do we build something truly for Muslims that we can own? And that's one thing that we're building. So for us, it's building out Muzz to be more than just finding a partner. It's a way to connect with your faith, connect with your community, connect with people in your area, connect with religious figures, find local events, find friends in your nearby. All of this into one platform. Where if you're at the stage where you're like, I'm also looking to find a partner, great, you can turn that bit on, and when you're done, turn that bit off and use this as a platform. I want this to be a place where we help, like I said, transforming how Muslims meet and marry, focus on the meet bit now. How do we get more Muslims globally to meet? And that's the key. So that's what we're building. We're going to be releasing it, inshallah, over the next couple of weeks and into the new year, and then rolling it out globally in the new year as well. It's a huge project. Our guys have been working super hard on it. Like I always say, I'm under no illusion how hard it is to build something like this. It's 95, 98% failure rate. That's how high it is.
Wow.
It's literally brutal. And so I'm, not remotely. I'm always an optimist, but I'm not fooling myself of how difficult this is going to be to try and get going. It's
Why are you
hard.
doing it?
Why? That's the magic question. I can see a need for it. Whether the time is now, we're going to find out, obviously. If I was trying to start this from scratch, I don't think I'd bother. It's too difficult. If I was trying to start this from zero, I think one benefit through the platform of Muzz, we've already got X 100,000 people on the app every single day. Yeah. Now, if I can't get them to use this new product and find value in it, then there probably isn't a product there. If I can, then I'm like, great, here's something to build on. So that's kind of my approach. For our team and all the stuff we're building on, I'm like, this feels like a good, I wouldn't even say an experiment, but a good thing we should try and build and try and prove out. And like I said, there's a high probability it's a waste of time. Equally, it might be that actually this has real value to people and we can build something quite amazing around it. And inshallah, who knows? Like I said, everything's written. If Allah wants Muslims to have a space like this for Muslims, run in a particular way, great. And for us, we've listened to, and I've tried to pay attention to, right, what would Muslim men and women want in a platform? And for example, ours, you're not just posting in the middle of nowhere. We don't want to be like an Instagram where you're just posting photos and stuff. That's not what it's about. It's a lot more, I would say it's a more Reddity in terms of it being a lot more group focused, right. Hopefully a lot more text and discussion focused. Equally, things like privacy are important. So you can post anonymously for very sensitive subjects as well. Equally, things like women's only groups, so spaces for women. Equally, things like, imagine you're a Muslim girl and you just moved to Manchester and you're like, I don't know anyone here, or maybe I'm looking for a flatmate in Manchester. Great, I'm automatically in a group with Muslim women in Manchester, automatically. Great, I can find people, I can make friends in my area, etc., and get to know people. All this, like I said, it only works when you're big. If you're small, it doesn't really work. And that's the key. Again, marketplace, it has to be big for it to work. And that's a multi-year game. That's one of the things that we're focusing on. But even if I take that side, inshallah, I want Muzz to be, like I said, truly, we're the biggest in the world, but I still say we're small. I want us to be truly huge. I want us, inshallah, to be the world's first Muslim-centric unicorn, where the heart of the product is Muslim-centric.
Inshallah.
That's one of the goals. Like I said, I want to leave on a selfish level. I want to leave my imprint on the world that, hopefully I made the world a little bit better. And I think hopefully that's my ticket to Jannah, inshallah.
Inshallah. Shaz, you're an inspiration.
I try.
You teach me a lot, and you've always been supportive of us as well. So really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
And it's always great fun hanging out with you.
Always, man. It's good fun. Always good seeing you as well.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.